Okay, kia ora everyone. Thank you all for being with us here this afternoon. I just want to note just a few housekeeping things to start off with. Today's meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and it can be found on our board YouTube channel. Happens quite
every time.
Yeah. We welcome members of the public that are watching via the live stream today. We welcome board members and staff. Thank you all for being in attendance. And just a reminder that if there's any disrespect between people in the room, we will shut down the conversation just so we can carry on in a more positive way. But once again, thank you all for being here. We have a few public forums today and quite a few decisions to be made. So we will kick into it. I'm going to start with apologies. I just have one from Jake for lateness. Do I have a mover for that? Sunita and Jackie, thank you. All in favour? Carried. Do we have any declarations of interest for today's meeting? No, no interest. That's good. Confirmation of previous minutes for our, hi Jake, of our previous minutes. Favour mover. Zanita, in a second, Daryl, thank you. All in favour? Aye. Thank you. And for our public excluded minutes, were there any questions that anybody had around that we need to do in public excluded? No, it was pretty simple. So if I have a mover for those now. Daryl, thank you. And Sunita seconded, all in favour. Thank you, that's carried. Okay. So we are moving into our first public forum for today. Our first public forum is going to be on the Mount Pleasant Community Centre, and I would like to welcome Derek. Hello.
Hello again.
How are you going? It's lovely to have you with us. Good. So just a reminder, Derek, that you are being live streamed and recorded. And you have 5 minutes. So if you'd like time to ask for questions, then that would be fantastic.
How do we get the presentation? There we go. Can I start with speaking?
Yeah. We're getting there.
Sharing on the wrong screen, sorry.
There we go. Cool. Fire away.
Kia ora, ko Derek McCullough, and I'm the Community Connector and Centre Manager at the Mount Pleasant Community Centre. There we go. Thank you for taking the time to hear about what the activities and the plans for the Mount Pleasant Community Centre are. We plan to update you on what we're doing and identify what we are planning to do, and possibly seek support for initiatives, but that won't be in today's presentation. The Mount Pleasant Centre operates on a social enterprise model. Social, a place where the community gathers, a meeting place We get about 1,000 people a week, from new mums to old singers. And it's also enterprise in that it's our long-term goal to earn more from our assets and events so that we're less dependent on grants. But we're not there yet. However, all of our current initiatives and our new ones are aimed to get us closer to that goal. Next. The Food Truck Alley was the first new initiative. This is a trial we ran for 11 weeks this year and was overwhelmingly positively received by our community, our neighbours, and the wider Christchurch. There are just many examples of its positive impact, but I'll share just two. Upon setting it up, we had local neighbours just volunteered to help and are now part of the setup team. They showed up and want to help, and it gives them opportunities for locals to be involved and contribute and to enjoy. I think one example is a local family that invited their 3 kids and their 7 or 8 grandkids over for Sunday tea, and they could all get what they wanted from the food trucks, and the grandparents didn't have to do any of the washing up, so they were really happy with it, and that happened often. So on September the 25th, we're going to relaunch a new, improved Food Truck Alley in September. It'll be new in that we'll have more traders, 17, giving us a wider range of eating options. And it'll include music this time, where we've got the local high schools to showcase their talent and create a great picnic atmosphere. It's also going to be improved. One of the problems with the last one was the amount of petrol generators that run to keep the thing going. So we want to reduce our carbon footprint in 3 ways. We want to replace the petrol generators with electricity, cutting down both emissions and noise. We want to establish waste reduction by mulching and composting all food containers so we can reuse them in the community gardens and in the Corbett's Bay Reserve. And we want to institute an integrated transport plan that incorporates walking, biking, the use of public transport, as well as cars. So the Food Truck Alley is set to go in September in the new improved 2.0 version, as we call it. Other initiatives we have, we're working with Coastal Pathways on a thing called Sidetracks to enhance the coastal pathway experience by including McCormick's Bay as a sidetrack. You've got in front of you a brochure about the sculpture that we're going to install. Lou Summers' Flight. Lou was a local resident, and we want to put his sculpture on the reserve so that it'll be open for the enjoyment for everyone, all of Christchurch. We want to enclose our front deck. This is an amazing asset that's underutilised by being vulnerable to the weather, therefore making it unbookable. So in terms of being able to generate more income from it, we need to cover it in without reducing the view or the impact of the architectural building. We also want to put up a viewing platform, and we're working in conjunction with the Ihutai Estuary Trust on this so that more people can appreciate this internationally significant, unique city treasure. And we want to get more bike stands at the community centre, safe and sturdy, to encourage biking to our centre for the Food Truck Alley, the Farmers Market, and our events. Next slide, please. So we think these link in with the community board plan. And at the stage of all of these initiatives that we're working with council staff, Kathy Jardin from the leasing team, Harry Rollis from Park Reserves, Simon Hodges from traffic management, and Tony Moore around sustainability issues. And we're very appreciative of their support and encouragement that they've shown us in getting this underway. So that's an overview of what we're doing, and we believe these initiatives fit well with both the community board plan and our strategic plan. Thank you very much.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming to speak with us, and thanks for all the work that you're doing. It's really fantastic to hear and get an update. And must come down and check out those food trucks as well. Sounds amazing.
What was the date for those again?
Yeah.
26th, it's the first day of daylight saving. When we ran the trial, it started in daylight saving, and it was very clear once it finished and got dark early how that cut into it. So we just want to make it a summer picnic experience. So it'll go from daylight saving start to daylight saving finish.
Perfect.
September to April.
Sounds great. Did we have any other questions for Derek Darrell?
Thank you, Derek. Well done. Congratulations. I think I understand what you're alluding to when you talk about coastal pathway sidetracks. Just want to tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, the idea is that the coastal pathway, particularly right in front of us, is just one long wide path right down across the causeway. Whereas there's already a lovely backtrack with inter panels, which goes around the back of the estuary so that you can cross the road, go past, there's a cafe, there's toilets, there's a children's playground, and it just enhances the experience. And you get to be closer to the actual estuary edge in that part. So we think it'll be the pilot program for more sidetracks once the coastal pathway gets used more.
Great initiative. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you. Yanni?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I was just interested in the sculpture, public art. Have you approached the council's public art fund?
No, not yet. Do you think that would be advisable?
Well, I know that some of us would long wanted public art sort of outside of the central city, and this would seem to be an ideal candidate. So I don't know whether the board could seek advice on the best way to do that. But
we can just work with Derek on it. I don't think we need to get advice. Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. We'll have a conversation.
Thank you for that, Yanni.
If there's no other questions, thank you so much for your time, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Derek. Our next public forum this afternoon is Daniel Nielsen, and he's come to speak to us on Heathcote Valley Community Facility. Welcome.
Thanks.
And just a reminder that you are, thank you, you are live streamed and being recorded, and you have 5 minutes. Right, if you would like questions, then please leave a little time.
Can I take a mask off?
Absolutely, go for it.
Can I use this thing?
Oh, and if you just pop,
Not if we're sharing. If you're screen sharing, it doesn't work. We have to push it up
Yeah,
here.
just so you know, what is working?
Oh, it is. Oh,
Perfect.
okay.
I turned it on. That's the.
and also just if there's a little button that's got a little person speaking, if you can press. Oh, that is on. No, now it's on. Now it's on. Perfect. Thank you.
Right.
Fire away.
Okay, so my name's Daniel, and I'm pretty much just a guy with an idea at this point. I have never done a project like this or tried to figure out how to get money for it. So bear with me if I'm. So it's the idea is to put a community sports facility in Heathcote Valley. So I just want to go through what, how, where, why, and sort of who's supporting it and some of the considerations around it. So first of all, it's canopy covered space for sport, tennis, football, cricket, bowls, all sorts of things. That's actually a photo of one out at by a PT domain. So you might recognise it. The space in Heathcote's a lot smaller than that, so it wouldn't be quite as big as that. But that's the inspiration. So how would we do it? Exactly the way that Eastern Canopy works. There's a link there as well, but you will all have the this presentation. You can go, you've probably seen it already. So there's a booking system there. It's really user friendly, called Pay to Play, which is used for a bunch of different facilities around town. So that's how it would work. That's the location. Heathcote Domain is sort of, you can see that on the photo there. That's where the cricket club is, and there's a bit of football going on there as well. There's a bowls club, and then circled in red is these 3 tennis courts on concrete surface. So right now, And for the past few years, I'm very involved in the cricket club up there, and I used to have a little house on Port Hills Road. And I hardly ever see anyone using those tennis courts, certainly not for tennis, because there are no nets there. I went there to play tennis one day and found out I couldn't play tennis there. There is a basketball hoop that gets used, and there's little boxes and stuff that are used for skating. So it does get some use, but it's not very used at all. And the space is about 40 by 45 meters, which I very accurately measured out by just walking. So it can fit at least a couple of tennis courts with the cover over it, a couple of netball courts, which are roughly the same size, a couple of basketball courts, a full-size futsal field, if you want that, and cricket nets and softball nets and that sort of thing. So it's meant to be, the idea is it's multi-use, lots of different types of sports. What else? Next thing is, why would we do this? Why would anyone do it? It seems to me that it would be a great use of community space. It aligns with the Heathcote Village project vision, which is linked to there. I've spoken with the school, I've spoken with the cricket club and the Maltworks, and I've also gone and spoken with the Heathcote Village project last week. We told them to come here, and they're all in support of it, and they had some ideas and things around it as well. And there's also, my understanding is there's a need for some more diversity of activity and opportunity for the youth up in Heathcote Valley. Not everybody loves cricket, which I've got no understanding for, but yeah, it'd be quite good to have some other stuff too. Yeah, so the school, for example, was talked about using it on wet days with heating. There were some ideas around, well, could the school have some right uses of it in certain hours? The cricket club would obviously use it on wet days for cricket training, and the community itself, the Maltworks village there, the residents would be able to use it as well, and just, I guess, anyone in the community. So some of the considerations, benefits to the community. We talked about free use at designated times, maybe even like that after school period, 3 to 4:30 or something. Maybe it's just for it's anyone that wants to go there and throw a ball around, the school kids and stuff like that. Some other issues around that space is probably access. It's quite kind of tucked away and hard to get to. I know there's a lot of parking around the back of the bowls club, but I don't know what the access is like around the back of the bowls club and into that tennis court. I mean, there are some train tracks.
Usually chained up. Yeah, it's usually chained up.
But there's also access across the playground. So costs, of course, my understanding is that the Eastern Canopy costs about 1.5 million to put up. And then there's consent issues, given that there are, the Maltworks villages there now. I know that the tennis courts were there before that, so there's not, that there's, I don't really know what the rules and stuff are around that stuff. I know that the Maltworks residents have some issues with the lights that go on, and they've on mentioned about 10 o'clock, some floodlights there. So a new facility might actually solve the problem by having some cover up or something like that, or having some time limits on when you can lights. And yeah, this is, I don't know why I put everyone there, but that's 5 minutes. Okay, there you go.
That's 5 minutes.
Some support and some ideas around fundraising. So yes, have you got any questions?
Thank you, Daniel. Really appreciate that. I've got Daryl, but I've also just got one from Tim, who I think may be having a few issues online, but he said, thank you. And it seems very sensible. And do you have a group driving it? So I guess you talked about a few people that you've spoken to, but not a group at this stage.
It's really just my idea. And it just came because I thought it'd be cool to have some covered cricket nets somewhere in Heathcote.
Yeah.
So kind of very selfish, but I think the Heathcote Village project, we're really keen to support it. And I've spoken to a couple of people who are sort of in the fundraising space professionally, who are quite interested in helping me and guiding me along. So no, there's no group, but we can try and form one, I suppose.
Cool. No, that's awesome. Daryl?
Thank you. Have you spoken to the Heathcote Residents Association at all?
There was kind of the village project. I thought might have been that, but they're quite sort of aligned, I think. But I'm not sure. I don't think I have. No.
Okay. The reason why I asked the obvious question, I was because they are representative of a large part of the community, I'd be very keen to hear their feedback on the issue.
Cool, thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, the residents association per se, just it's only the committee that kind of meets now, and the village projecty kind of meeting, the community meeting is on before it.
Yeah.
So people don't have to sit through all the boring kind of meeting stuff, but it generally has sort of the same people.
So I think that what
Yeah.
I presented,
Supportive.
pretty much
Yeah.
presented, yes, I presented this to the village project, and they took it on to the visitors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Daniel at all? Sarah?
So I just thanks, nice to see you in person at last. Just that whole, what would you like from us? Is it like a sort of nod about, hey, that sounds kind of cool, keep working at it, come back to us
Yeah.
at the next point, or a contact in with the organisation as to who you'd contact within staff?
Yeah.
To see what the process would be if you wanted to go ahead.
Yeah, like ideas for fundraising, because I've never done anything like this
Yeah.
before, so I don't really know where to start, other than like I've started by trying to find other people actually support the
Yeah.
idea. So I guess that's
I think the first thing is to get the right contact within the organisation to see how that might have the process to go through if it was going to happen, because it's on council facility.
So can I speak?
Yeah.
The community recreation advisor sits in the governance team and will be in contact with you and hook you up.
Yeah,
Cool.
very cool.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us this afternoon. Appreciate your time, and we will be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In fact, you could just meet him now if you like.
Yeah. We will start the process right now. Or not. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Our next public forum this afternoon is John Miller. And John is here to speak to us about the repairs, or perhaps lack of, on Hereford Street between Fitzgerald and Stanmore. So, John, if you would like to come to the table, and you have what's Monica, lovely to have you with us as well. Thank you for being here. So, just a reminder, that is being recorded, it's live streamed, you have 5 minutes, and if you would like any questions, please leave sometime at the end.
Great, thank you.
Far away.
Board members, fellow guests. It's good to be here with an update. Both Monica and myself presented to this board on the 16th of February via Zoom with regard to the repairs on Hereford Street between Fitz Ave and Stanmore Road. So this is really, it's almost 6 months since then, so this is a bit of an update really. And to recap, in a nutshell, our concerns were the large stones that were used on the chip seal surface. They were very noisy and they fall off, which causes all sorts of downstream problems like filling gutters and breaking windows, that sort of thing. We had two concerns that we sought guidance from the board. They were, one, that we weren't getting any comms back from our support ticket numbers from CCC. And secondly, we were worried that it was looking like this was just going to be a patch-up job, right? Now, members felt confident that it wouldn't be a patch-up job, but nevertheless, a memo was sent from board, a request was sent to staff from this board, and the board acknowledged receipt of that. And there is a document, I wonder if this will work. I don't want to disrupt your agenda, but there'll be a document on your devices, the memo, and I refer to item. Thanks very much, June. Very good, that's great. I refer to item 1.3 on that memo. There are a number of items relating to a Dawson Street issue, which I'm not familiar with, but the Hereford Street, to quote, the board requested staff advice on the repairs of Hereford Street between Fitzgerald Ave to Stanmore Road, confirming that the repair will not be a patch repair, the timeline for the repair, and advice of why residents are experiencing more road noise since the laying of the new road surface. Now, there are no updates with regard to Hereford Street. I have received no updates in this regard, and I suspect the board hasn't either. So our concerns today are really the same two things. One, we're got no comms or updates on what's going on. And secondly, road workers did appear in March and we got a leaflet, thought, great, something's happening. And they put some patches down and there was a rainstorm, of course, and then they came back and it's been a patch up job so far. So we don't know if they're coming back. There are bits at the ends missing. It looks like just a kind of a comb over, if you will, of the road. And we're kind of back to square one where we were between earthquakes. Last year, a patchy street, but now it's a patchy street that's noisy. So I think it looks like from our position, someone's tried. I brought you some bags of chips, and Yanni, you're very welcome to pass those around if you want. The bag of large stones are the sort of rocks that we used. And the patches are the smaller, finer grade of chip. And it's an interesting accidental lab experiment. When a car comes along the road now and hits those small stones, it goes, that sort of noise on the big stuff, and then you on the small stuff, you know. So it's a live laboratory audio experiment on what the difference is between those two sorts of stones. The big ones are still coming off and filling up the gutter. So in my view, we really need to have this whole surface and sticky stuff put on, those small stones put on the road. And it would be really good if it's done before the heat of summer when things get sticky and, you know, melty insofar as tar goes. Yeah, so the community board is the interface between us residents and the council and in the other direction too. So I wanted to really update you on that. Tell you what's going on and what do we do next.
Cool.
Happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, John. We really appreciate that. I've got one already, Sarah.
Thanks for that. I sent through another CSR on it today, but in fact from between Stanmore and Tancred, because that's, I think, worse than your section now, because I biked along it today. And yeah, I've sent another CSR through on that because it's really, really poor, and they just haven't come and swept up the excess and all of that. So thank you for raising this again.
Yeah, I think we're not alone in this.
I know that internally it's something that staff are determined to try and fix the contractors, but it's so frustrating. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yanni?
Yeah, thanks. As someone who's also been down here in the street recently, I can attest to the issue. I just wanted to check. Did you originally, you put in a CSR? So have you had any response to your CSR?
No, I've had no, I have not.
Right, so maybe the board wants to follow up because we've had the presentation about how the CSR system's going to change and be radically improved. And maybe we just want to chase up as an example of to understand what's gone wrong. I think also we might like to ask staff around the different quality of chat, because my understanding from the draft annual plan where some councils did want to invest more in doing a better seal, that we were advised that it wasn't necessary or wouldn't make a difference. But I think when you look at the examples and you see the product that's been put on the road, it's pretty hard not to think that there must be a better way of investing ratepayer money into fixing the roads in a better way. So I think maybe the board should get some information in that regard as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Yanni. I've just got Michelle.
Thanks, John, for coming back again. It's very gracious of you to come when you've already come 6 months ago and haven't had any response about the substantive matter. So thank you. And I'm really sorry that you didn't, that you took that time and that it hasn't been resolved. So the hope is that it can be, because I take, I agree about the CSR that Yanni mentioned, but there's also the issue that in the action tracker, it got closed off without the actual points being requested by the board being addressed from what I can see. So I guess I'd like to see that it is resolved quickly, given that it's well overdue now.
Thanks, Michelle. Do we have any questions for John? Any more? Sarah?
Just a quick thing on this, is it not working?
I
On the
don't think
CSR. There's a section when you send it in that it says if you want to be kept updated on this particular, because I don't know, 600,000 a year or something. So if you want to be kept updated, you have to let them know, because otherwise it's too much work to do it automatically. I'm just wondering if you did email them back, because I know I've had ones where I've done that and I haven't. And so I've gone through and checked the system stuff. So it'd be good to know.
Sure. Yeah, my CSR was submitted via the call centre, and and I followed up.
Yeah.
For me to the call centre any time. I've received zero email, SMS, or.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So if you could
I'm very
give us
grateful.
the actual CSR number. Yeah. So I've done that a couple of times with specific cases to work out where the glitch in the systems were, which has been really useful for us and them.
Right.
So that would be.
I'd like to find,
Yeah.
study. Yeah.
I don't know.
The other thing is that you're always welcome to send a copy of the number, as long as you've got your CSR number, to the board advisor, and we'll chase that. The reality is we're also chasing the other. So yes, it's in process.
Okay, if there are no more questions for John, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We will be in touch. And did we just have some words for actions ready?
Step that down as an action, or do you want that put as a resolution asking for a report back on it now?
No, I think if we turn it into an action, so we can actually just get it done fast on.
Just request that advice.
Yeah.
Because that was what started on the follow-up.
Yeah.
To the
Yeah.
customer service request.
Thank you.
Can you send us the customer service request number too, please?
I certainly will. I have it here, and
Cool.
there were several.
Yeah, just write them all down. All down. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much. Cheers, John.
See you in 6 months.
Oh, Michelle, did you have something?
No, it's like
Did you have something you wanted to say, Michelle?
So just further to the action, I didn't quite hear what you were saying, but the action from me is that the original 3 questions are also followed up. And I guess a sense of why the CSRs didn't go anywhere.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so we are moving on now to our last public forum. Oh, Yanni?
We also get advice as to the quality of the seal that's been used,
Oh, yeah.
because
Councillors have had advice, so we can just ask for that one piece of true.
yeah, but I think it would be helpful for the board to be given an understanding of the quality of the seal.
The type of seal
Yeah.
that's been.
That would be really useful, thank you. Okay, so our last public forum today is Andrew Moss. Last but not least, welcome. Just a reminder that you are being live streamed and recorded, and you have 5 minutes, but if you would like questions, then please leave some time. But thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You're here to speak to us about the flooding in Bromley. So we know it's been a big issue for a long time. So
Okay, well, thank you very much for letting me have a chat about the ongoing flooding in Lisa's Road in Bromley. Just to give you a little bit of history, I run a trampoline and ice skating rink called MoveX in Bromley. I've been in business for about 6.5 years, and throughout those 6.5 years, we've had issues with flooding. I made a submission to our public submission to the council probably in 2018, highlighting the flooding and requesting some assistance and some plans of what happened. I did have some interaction with some council staff that said that there is money in the budget, but absolutely nothing has happened to address the issue. Just to give you an idea of the frequency of it, it's probably about 8 to 10 times a year. We get complete flooding right away across the road, into our parking lot, into our building. And of course, being a trampoline arena, everybody wants to come to a trampoline when it's raining. So we get double whammy. We can't have customers come in because of the flooding, but yet the customers just want to come because it's the thing we're doing with their kids. I've got a couple of videos, if you can bring up the videos, just to give you an idea of the scale of what it looks like.
And as well, Andrew, just your microphone.
Come on.
Awesome, thank you.
So the flooding goes right the way across the road, probably about 10 centimeters crown of the road. Very, very dangerous, as you can see here. Generally, there's no council support as far as signage goes, so people continue to drive. And we do get a number of, can we show the other ones as well? We do get a number of cars that are stuck in the middle of the road, and of course people are pushing them, and bike and pedestrian access is not available because there's flooding right away across from one side of the building to the other. Just one more. Okay. So you can see that I'm standing at my doorway there, and you can see it's lapping up against the doorway. That's the parking lot that is completely flooded. We've obviously been communicating with Yanni about this for a number of years, and we're just at the end of our rope going, there's just nothing happening. We've had chats. I had a chat with someone in council last week, the operations team, and he basically said, well, we do what we can. We've put pumps out when we can, but there's really no long-term plan to fix the problem.
That is very frustrating, but thank you for coming to talk to us again about it. So it is something that we can perhaps, it's quite timely coming out of the last rain event. This could be something we actually speak about next Thursday at council. So as a board, we can go in and advocate for you with council and start a process to actually get some meaningful work happening in that space. And do you have a CSR as well?
No, I won't.
Okay. Cool.
One of the ways that the council gathers data is through the customer service requests. So every time, I know it seems somewhat pointless and nothing changes, but if you make a customer service request, every time it happens, there's data.
So is the customer service request different than from the council?
No, that's it.
My road is completely flooded.
And do they give you a number?
I'm sorry?
Do they give you a number?
Every time they give me a number,
Right.
and every time I don't record it, but
Okay.
it's every single time they phone them up and say,
Yeah.
we need
Right.
some help.
So then would you give us a call and we'll follow it up too? So if you ring the community board advisor, we'll send you that information after the meeting.
Yanni?
Yeah, I mean, are you aware of the information that like the Edgewood villages had around the flooding? And do you think that if you are, do you think that's the sort of thing the board should be asking for a briefing on? I don't know how familiar you are with that part of town, but I know there's been a lot of publicity and information given to that community. And I wonder if something similar, but that area that you've shown us a video of would be appropriate, because it seems way worse than
It is from the videos that I've seen of Edgeware, the flooding in Bromley is much worse and much more dangerous, because there are pedestrians, there are kids, there are bikes, all in that area, and people are just driving through the stuff. It's really quite bad. Of course, with the sometimes we do get various smells and contamination and everything else, and it's hard to tell whether there is a mixture of the sewer side of things and so again, it's just we just have no idea of what's going on with it. It just happens, and it needs to get addressed for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got Michelle.
So generally, so I'm very sorry that you didn't get response on the CSR, and I guess that my understanding is that we get regular reports about the CSRs. Grace, can you remind me when we get our updates about CSR resolutions? It's the second person in a row that's had some trouble.
To be honest, I don't have an answer to that, but I will. Yeah, we haven't seen one for a while.
Yeah.
So I will we'll follow that up.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. No more questions. Well, look, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. And as I say, this is something that we'll bring up at the council meeting next Thursday. And Yanni.
Well, can I suggest the board actually asks for an urgent briefing and probably a whiteboard session with council staff to understand the flooding factors around this area. And just
options for remedy,
because it just seems like inherently, I mean, it's actually really good what they've done in the Edgware area. It's very detailed. It's very, easy to kind of understand all the different issues. But I think as part of this Bromley area, like this, as Andrew has said, this has been going on for so long. And there is a frustration that it's not been given the priority that it should deserve, but I know it's actually a really complicated thing, and there has been some work done around potential solutions. I guess what I'm worried about is that the Edgware solution is going to come in front of council before this solution, and it's not to say that either one is less important than the other. They're both actually important, but I think we do need to be pressing our staff quite urgently to report back on the implications of the flooding in the Bromley area and have a session around what the options are to address it. It just cannot go on in my view.
Can I just also add, the building across the street from us is being demolished right now, and I assume that a new building is going to be built. Again, it'd be interesting to find out whether the flooding has been looked at with this new design, because the flooding was coming up onto the windows of the previous building.
It'll have new.
Okay, so we have
Briefing session. On
Yeah.
the Bromley area.
Yeah.
Can we put kind of urgent?
And not to say Bromley area, because that's very wide. We make it more specific to this section, because like with Edgware, it's an area where it just kind of ponds in that same area, a bit of a basin every time, a low point, and look at and I think we did have some information through some time ago, like maybe a couple of years ago, but see whether there's any, so we can find that.
Probably remiss of me not to mention at this point that Cambridge Terrace is also a shocker for the exact same issue as well. So we might maybe want to nip two birds with one. Two birds.
I'd rather leave the birds alone. No, it's really, really nasty to throw stones at them.
But they're drowning.
Okay, well, throw them a rope.
all right. So I think we can address that as well, Jake.
Yeah.
They are separate things, really.
I guess the key concern I would have is that I know that work has been done around the Masons Road from the area. I don't know what work's been done on Cambridge. I mean, I think it's important to get that work done, but I don't want the Masons one
to be lost.
I think they want them secret.
Well, yeah. It would be just a good note to flick to the same stuff at the time we're asking for a briefing.
Well, I think a briefing for this, but also note that we have the same issues in Cambridge Terrace and could give some advice on it. All right. And I will bring it up at council. As well.
I think
That'd be really good.
Some of us have brought it up informally, so. And I think we're going to get. I think we're getting a briefing sometime. Like next week. On the phone. So.
Cool. Okay.
And sorry, we should probably say flooding and solutions,
Yeah.
something like on flooding issues and possible solutions. And practical solution.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, board members. Okay. All right, we are moving on now to item 5, which is deputations by appointment. We didn't have any today. Item 6 is the presentation of petitions, and again, we have none today. Moving on to item 7, correspondence. That is page 15. Did we have any?
Can I comment on
Yeah,
that, please?
absolutely.
With respect to the letter, sorry. Somebody got the-
Oh. Yes,
Thank
I
you.
know.
With respect to the
Still not
letter
working.
from the Sumner Community Residents
Oh.
Association.
I think Jake's
like-
is on, so yours might not be.
Oh,
working.
sorry, Carol, just lean across.
Turn his off and
His is off now.
oh, his off now.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there, third time lucky. Can we send a copy of the memo that the council, or so, sorry, has a response as yet been sent to the Residents Association?
Following the meeting, the information that we get sent goes to the people who presented, yeah, who've requested that information.
So the Residents Association have received the council's memo that came out to us several weeks ago that at this stage, the council planned no further action.
Oh,
Actually,
I
I'm
had
not
a
sure.
chat to them.
Sorry?
I bumped into Charlie and Lisa.
Yeah.
And had a chat to them about the fact that we'd had
Yeah.
deputations
Yes.
and that it was a difficult topic.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, if we're going to be, and that the board had, requested some work be done.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we'd just really like to be part of that. That was, yeah.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that we received a memo from council saying that there was no further action planned at this stage.
No, and it will have gone to the person who made the
Yeah.
initial deputation. It won't have gone to the Residents Association necessarily, so we'll make sure that it does.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I was just thinking they're not the people who made the
Yeah, no,
deputation.
yeah.
No.
I mean, I think it's important,
Yeah.
given that
Yeah.
Yeah.
written to us that a
Yes.
response is received.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Daryl. Okay, do I have a mover for that correspondence?
Happy to move.
Thank you. And second,
Yeah.
Sarah, all in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 8, we've got Sally Ann with us.
It's actually not Sally Ann. Somebody else is coming in there.
Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello. If we could have your camera on.
Sure, one moment, please.
Screen is done.
Kia ora.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gautam Prabram from the traffic operations team, same team as Sally. I'm just here on behalf of Sally, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. So yeah, just presenting the report regarding no stopping restrictions around the Awaka Valley Road and Port Hills Road. So as if the board, as mentioned in the report, there have been some concerns raised by the local residents regarding vehicles parked around the intersection. So upon inspection, we felt that the safety concerns are valid. As we know, Awaka Valley Road is vehicles need to travel downhill as they approach the Port Hills Road intersection, and looking at the general road geometry and the visibility levels and the nature of the intersection, it is quite different from many other T intersections in the city. So due to visibility constraints and other concerns, we felt that the nose dropping restrictions here are warranted. As mentioned in the report, consultation was done and the affected residents were notified. And I understand that there has been one person who was concerned about the loss of parking, but due to the safety benefits it brings in, we feel that the restrictions are still warranted. So yes, requesting the board's approval for this one, and happy to take any questions.
Fabulous, thank you so much. I've actually already got a mover from Tim, who's texted me his moving. Did I have any questions at
Happy to
all?
second.
Fabulous, thank you, Sarah. Well, if there are no questions, we have a mover and a seconder. All in favour? Fabulous, thank you, that is carried. Thank you so much, we appreciate that.
Thank you, thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
See you. Okay, we are moving on now, board members, to item 9, which is page 23 of your agenda, and that's our Strengthening Communities Fund. So we have everybody.
You're on.
It's you.
You're up. So just to introduce this report, we have, there are a number of questions that when the board workshopped before the report, there are a number of questions that board members had, which the information and answers to which you all received, I think, earlier on last week. So that you had a good chance to read through those. We have
I'll just try to find them.
Pull your mic down now.
Pull your mic down towards you so that you can hear you.
Sorry, I was just trying to find where that those additions.
it came out as an email. Is it in the Bixton hand? I hope so.
I think it is.
Oh, yes.
Maybe someone could just read email.
Well, I can't.
Oh,
hear.
There's nothing on mine.
Yeah, I'll just see if I can find it. It's just have to open it to actually find the document.
It's okay, I've got it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so the questions, there were a number of applications where the project was either brand new and therefore there was no record of progress with that particular project. So we moved some. Having considered them, we moved them to the discretionary response fund. So there'll be a number of those discretionary response fund applications on the agenda following this particular item. And as the staff considered the many applications that we had, we looked at and our recommendations are based on matters such as where government funding, such as education or Ministry of Social Development, where those are their projects that actually should be funded by central government rather than being community development. You'll see that there are some that we have recommended declined. Other than that, we have looked for projects, and we've given weight to projects that fit within the Sustainability Charter. we've given priority to projects where and our recommendations follow, where there's good collaboration and outcomes that meets with both the community board plan and the council's strategic priorities. So unless there are any questions, we'll make our way through the report.
Cool, no questions? No. Fabulous. Well, I guess,
We're going to go through each blow by blow, or
Do
we're
we-
going to ask her. Sorry.
yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
We're going to ask if there are any concerns with any particular one.
I think that would be a better way to do it.
Yes,
If you're happy with that.
So you will have all of the information where where you've noted concerns. You'll have that information in the big tin can, so that you can use that to then work our way through where there are questions that people want to ask about each of the applications, and we'll make our way through those. Which is
Cool. So did we have any concerns or any extra questions that we wanted to ask of staff?
especially if we wish to make changes.
Yeah. Is there anything? I think we might be good. We look good. All right. Okay.
I'm sure there were a number where there were potential changes.
Is everybody happy with the report in front of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a mover then? Do we have a mover? Jackie and seconder Jane?
Yes.
Cool. All in favour?
Aye.
Fabulous, carried.
Make any changes?
No, no changes by the looks of it.
The rest of it, lots of just move into block. Just move the rest of it into block.
Yeah. Sorry, do you mean the discretionary response stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I think we want to have a chat about some of them. Sorry, I'm just gonna.
One of them was recommended a decline. so-
Yeah, one of them was a decline, Jake. I don't know if you want to,
Still happy,
you're still
yeah,
happy
yeah,
with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm happy with that as well, actually.
Happy, we need to come up to the table.
So moving on to board members, that was very speedy. On item 10, discussion response funding. But Jake's suggestion is to move all of them. But are there any that people had any questions about or concerns with what the staff are recommending? Or are we happy with that as well? Gosh, I wish it were.
You've discussed a lot already.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your work. All right. Do I have a mover then for the discretionary response fund applications and the staff recommendations? Jake and Sunita.
10 for 14.
Yes, 10 through 14. Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. That's carried. Okay, we are moving on to now board members, item 15, elected members information exchange. Sarah.
I'm actually just going to raise an issue that's just been raised this afternoon, in that I've just had a really grumpy email from someone who was disappointed I didn't turn up to the Ainsley Terrace meeting last night, and it hadn't been in my diary.
Sorry, what was the meeting?
The Ainsley Terrace one.
Ainsley Terrace. So residents met last night and were very disappointed that I wasn't there.
I can understand. I
But
don't-
we all
And
said we'd be there.
we all
Yeah.
said we'd be there.
Yeah.
They'd come to us, the meeting had initially been postponed, and it turns out that it was on last night.
None of us were
We
there.
didn't know.
No, we did, because in the last email we got sent, it says
When they
the site
postponed it.
visit is rescheduled for the 2nd of August. I
But
had
we
no
got
idea.
the old invite deleted
Yeah.
from our diaries, and then nothing new went on.
We didn't put an invitation in the diary. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So,
our apologies.
So are you able, I've
Yes.
forwarded you Trevor's email.
Yeah.
Are you able to respond to him to
Yes.
confirm that we?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've
because
just-
they were also, I think from Sarah's email, they said that they were told that
Yeah.
we already knew about it, and it was
Oh, no.
just us not being there and not apologising.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. Okay. Yeah.
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 That who was the council staff said?
Yeah. Look, the trouble is, it's not our team that is running it, and I missed it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's right.
But usually you're invited as well. so-
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
no.
someone will just respond collectively on all of us.
Yes, we will send something from the board.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy
Yeah.
for it to come from
And
myself.
we'll send it from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, I mean.
My sincere
we
apologies.
had a way for the treatment partner at the same time as well, so.
Yeah.
I just assumed that that day
Yeah.
probably didn't work.
Yeah, I mean,
We can
I was
say that,
free all
but
evening and I would have absolutely been there. And we talked about it at this.
I know, you said you would be there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Michelle?
Oh,
So just to make sure that it was captured that we're going to get some information about when we can expect our regular CSR reporting, please.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, just in the latest board newsletter, there's just one line. Actually, it looks like maybe this isn't the right version that got sent out, maybe, but there's a line that concerns me. It says, things are going to be a bit different from the last election. You will be voting in a different ward than you used to. It does go down to say, which is not true. Most people won't be voting in a different ward, so that you just need to amend that. I don't know if you can amend it on the website, because most people will be voting in the same ward. There are a few boundary changes, but it's a different community board, but it's not most people aren't voting in a different ward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll attend to that. Yeah.
And actually also in the last sentence, that's why I think maybe the wrong version got sent out. It says the board has been together for X years.
Oh, no.
Oh,
So
no.
it may have been a draft that's accidentally got sent.
Only for 3 years, because every board has been there for that
3 years.
long. Yeah.
Cool.
It's different.
Thank you for that, Michelle. Yanni, then Jake, then Daryl, then Sunita.
Crisscross.
Just wanted to let the board know that the council today considered the wastewater treatment plant via recovery update and also a wellbeing response plan. And it would be quite good. I don't know if anything's going around the board, but there were some additional things that council agreed to do, which was to target to continue to provide targeted support to people in need through a combination of things, but probably the most important relevant thing to us as a board is that council agreed to give up to $20,000 to both our board and the Coastal Building Board to help the community deal with the impact, and also to seek also funding to provide health and wellbeing support through mental health through the Pegasus. I can't give you the exact name, but the community workers through the Pegasus Health partnership community workers, I think, and so people can contact them to get no cost assistance to help if they're having issues, which is I think really good.
Cool.
So I just wanted to maybe just note that in elected members exchange, and then maybe just I'll circulate around a copy of the resolutions when they come through so board members can see. The interesting thing is that staff will be reporting back. We're told that the response plan is dynamic and that they are going to report back after a health webinar that's been held in 2 weeks' time so that they can capture any feedback that comes in for the other additional things. There's also some information going out about the discoloration of houses, which I think, again, would be good to just get that circulated in the board decision. But I have two other issues I wanted to raise at the appropriate time.
At the appropriate time.
Well, I can do it now.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
cool.
your time.
Just the Bromley traffic issues. I was just trying to understand when we're likely to get any information back around timeframes for that. I'm just mindful that we've got money on budget. We've got, you know, a number of things that we're keen, I guess, to progress. And I just wondered when, like, if there's been any more community meetings, for example, of the community working group, and what the next kind of milestones are. And if we can get that circulated so that we can share it with other people, like Andrew and, you know, Boardroom today. And there'll be probably other people know on Bromley that will be keen to know.
Did you want to give a quick update? Yeah.
I can. The community group has met twice. The information that has come from those meetings has been disseminated through the email list that came from the Bromley Traffic Group and via 2 different Facebook pages in Bromley, from the community centre, and then there's another one as well. The community group, and it's been in the board newsletter. The community group, well, I think it has anyway. The community group, first of all, it was getting people together because they didn't know each other, and getting to kind of find out who they were and why they got there. The next one was looking at what are the kind of key issues, and alongside the speed, the heavy transport, and the safety for children, they've added another issue which needs some looking at, which is around boy races and those burnout type things that go on. So the next meeting, which is not this week, but not next week, but the one following, the project manager is going to come and work with that group around the money that's in the project, and to start looking at how do they as a group best represent the community, because at the moment they're self-selected, they're not community representatives. They're self-selected people who are keen to come and be part of it.
Yeah.
So it's to look at how do they engage more widely with the community. And basically what we will end up doing is handing a project, because it's nowhere near finished. There's a whole piece of work, there's pieces of work around advocacy with NZTA, because it's not on NZTA's traffic program right now to put lights on Dyers Road, but lights on Dyers Road actually make the rest of the thing a doable project. The district plan changes in its process, but there's obviously going to be a need for more money on budget, because $1 million doesn't do much more than traffic calming in very, very limited forms. So some of that planning about how do they go forward with it is as much as it's going to be done before the elections, given the timeframes. So what we will hand over is a group who are solid, who know what it is that they want to do, with a bit of a plan about how they engage with the rest of the community, and then there's going to be work to put it onto the Coastal Burwood Linwood Community Board plan to get it progressed further, because the next lot of money that's going to be required to finish it, this was just a start.
So when's the next sort of reporting date to the board?
So the board will report on this on the 3rd. It will be reported on in the monitoring report on the 31st of August.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that, and we'll get some timeframes around the project.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And just an answer to Michelle's question about the customer service requests. There's an attachment in the next area report, which is coming to the 17th of August meeting. I think it's the 17th. Yeah.
And I just just had and I don't want to say we're fortunate that winter sport has been postponed quite a few weeks in a row, but in terms of the impact in that Linfield area, in that Bromley area, actually, the residents that were concerned about the parking and the memo that we got. But I just wanted to know if there's, like, we've just had another yellow line painted on the road. Is there any way just to get some visibility around getting just the yellow lines thing letter to the residents, a report back to the board.
Just for
Is there any way just to
everyone.
make that a priority or to ask that could? be
So
done?
what do you want, a report back to the board?
We
or-
asked, like at the last board meeting, we asked if we could get the report on the Cypress and I think it's Kearney's Road. So just wanted to check, sorry, I'll just bring it up, just if we could just get a sense of the time frame for when that could be done, but obviously the important thing was to do it, or hopefully to do it in the winter. To mitigate the impact of winter sports because of the safety concerns. So I just wondered, I know there was like 2 other requests that we put in there, but I just wondered if that yellow lines on the road, which is a pretty simple, generally pretty simple thing. It's just a diagram, a letter, and then a decision.
So if we can just get some advice around that.
Yeah, is that okay?
Well, the request has already been made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's in process. It's in the system. It was only at the last meeting.
Yeah, no, I know, but I just wanted to get, just so I can feedback
just like the follow up.
around
from
what the
them.
timing would be around getting it done, that's all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Danny. I've got Jake next.
2 things from me. Monica Reid, who was here before, raised a couple of issues in the Linwood Village on, Hereford, Cashel and Gloucester turning onto Fitzgerald, so essentially Fitzgerald issues in terms of light phasing. There's been some changes down there and it's making it apparently hard for people. 2 things, right-hand turns, people having to wait for a very long time, even though there's no traffic coming. And the other one is that the pedestrians are finding it hard to move across also unnecessarily. Probably a couple of light phasing issues and probably interlinked. So if we could send that one off to transport, that would be most appreciated. And the second one from me is around the streetscape. It's kind of similar to what you were talking about before, Grace. I'm a little bit worried about, we went out for consultation so very long ago, and the information that came to us was obviously that, unsurprisingly, there's a constrained budget, as is often the case with projects at the moment. And and start looking at ways to address this, but I don't think a scale back in the project is going to be that palatable, and it would be good to have a conversation with staff before we get too far down the track of here's your downscoped project and now it's August and now it's delayed. And also it would be good to get the consultation results because they're there, they're sitting there, and it's been months.
Can I just add to that? And a project shouldn't just be downscoped. If there's no budget, there should be an option to council that says either add more budget or downscope. So that way we can choose to actually get it done with the budget, because actually it really needs doing. It's been a really long time.
Exactly.
Do we know what the budget deficit is?
We know nothing, and I don't think that's really acceptable, and I think we should be pushing a lot harder to get them here.
Could we maybe ask for the staff delegation to do a change request? Doesn't even need to just send them council, so we should just ask that that gets done and the project progresses.
We need to sign it off.
Yeah, I mean, I think staff are hopeful they can find the money from another project and they never have to worry or talk to us about it at all. But as a obviously, I'd be keen to put in the extra allocation. Sounds like Sarah is too. I'm sure you would as well, Yami. So if there is a problem, we would want the opportunity to have that democratic debate, discussion, and decision, not just let it fall to people. It could even be raised.
Yes, yes, I can see it on the report to council.
Because I've sent Lindsay an email, but if it's on the report to council, that should show up in mine.
It does somewhat.
Right, thanks for that.
Quite helpful.
With that, now being that there's it's useless.
With
the fact that there's no the board will be winding up as a community board area soon. There's a few reports that are outstanding, and it would be really good if so there's that one, there's the decision on Humphreys Drive, slower speed, there's a range of those kind of things. It would be good to have a little look at that and see if we could make those decisions instead of getting them divvied up to new boards who haven't had that experience with the area and stuff necessarily. The majority of the board won't have.
Mm.
And Alex, I'm wondering if you could mention that part to you. I've just emailed you that one. I was like, I'll just email you instead of.
Yeah.
Because that one is what we haven't had the information through.
No, I know.
And
So bring it up at council on Thursday.
yeah, just that.
Yeah.
Or getting all of that stuff through, because otherwise you're going to have 2 or 3 or a couple of members if they get re-elected in an area that's 9, where only a few people know the background.
Yeah.
And have been through the consultation process and stuff.
It might be.
Can I risk of an avalanche? Can you please just email through to Liz, because you'll be aware of the ones that you've sat with and you've.
Yeah.
Would you mind doing that, please, and just sending those through, and we will chase. I mean, it's not that we know we chase on a regular basis. Every month, Liz goes through the actions, and where there are actions that have been closed and there's been no report back, we open them up again and we have the conversations internally.
I think particularly the councillors know these ones off the back of their hand anyway.
Yeah.
So these are just decisions that are going to come to the community board in sometime in the future.
Exactly. So ones that
asked for
should,
I don't know yours, but I think I know mine.
Yeah.
Sure
So if each of you does that, and not just the councillors, I think there are board members, you know, people, you've got issues that you've been waiting on. Please, would you just email those to Liz, copy me in, and we will go to each of the officers around that to get the reports done, signed off. You know, we have a list of reports that fall off an agenda every.
The one I've raised is the only one I can think of.
Okay. Cool.
I've just called my email chase ups for end of term.
Yeah.
Like a nice friendly, like a.
And we have chase ups. We have a list too.
And just let
so.
Liz know that you've told us to email her.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's not just us all bombarding her.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. She won't forgive me, but
Yeah, there'd be nothing on your list, is there?
So I just want to raise 2 other quick things. One is, have we had any update on the site visit around the craft projects? I'm just concerned that the capital acceleration projects, we need to kind of get resolution on what we're doing. So just wanted to know if we can get a date to go and do that site visit that we talked about.
I think we found one, but to be honest, I don't know. Liz is not here. Yeah.
And the other thing is, so we had the coastal pathway presentation through Reckless Village. And I'm also aware that in the master plan, there's a Reckless Village Centre streetscape upgrade enhancement in the year 2030-31. It does kind of seem a bit silly to me that we've done the skirt repairs through Reckless Village, done the traffic light, we're going to do the coastal pathway, and then in a few years' time, we're going to do the upgrade the village again. I put the question on through the council to find out if there was any synergy between the 2 projects, and I was told that the works proposed in the master plan will not be impacted by coastal pathway, and when taking into account asset life will not require rework, and it says that the Reckless Village streetscape enhancements in our master plan is still required. But it's only got $25,000 for the funding. I mean, I don't know if that's not the budget or there's a year going out, but it does seem, I don't know whether as a board, like we don't approve the consultation plans, but it does seem kind of like it wouldn't make much sense to, you know, it would make sense just to have one project and do it once and come back in a few years' time and go through this drama again. So I don't know how others feel about it, but I wondered if we could maybe just get some advice how it could be done together so that we get the synergy. But I respect that there's people on the coastal pathway group who may have more of an understanding about what's proposed to the Reckless Village in relation to the master plan. But I personally couldn't comprehend how it wouldn't have synergy and crossover and overlap.
Does anyone have anything in?
No.
Daryl?
Any comment?
That's lovely, thank you. So sorry, what do you want us to do?
Well, just to seek some advice around that master plan project.
Yeah.
And whether it would be sensible to bring it forward in conjunction with the coastal pathway that's been proposed through the Reckless Village.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Advice is good.
Yeah. Cool, thank you. Thumbs up from Tim.
Yes. And the other thing is when it was raised at the seminar, I think they said they were open to the speed limits. But in the documentation, it is 40k through Redcliffe Village, and I still don't quite understand why it's not 30k.
Because it was done before the rules changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the rules changed just recently and it was
And
possible.
now it's
So
possible.
we did Wolston, right? We did Wolston as 30k.
Yeah, it's a different environment. Road is narrower.
And it's a lot
It's
easier.
easy,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would love it slower.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to stick
Some
to
residents
our order we had, Daryl.
I'm very angry.
Thanks, Alex. I had a communication from a resident in Sumner concerned about the Sumner Centre with respect to the fact that it would appear that it is frequently leaking and that the lifts are out of action, whether that's due to leaks into the electrical network within the lifts. But the comment was that it's hard for mums with children to get upstairs for their various activities, and for other people to get to the museum, which is located upstairs. So can we get some feedback, comment from those in the know, please, with respect to the comment that was made to me? This is a new building. Why are we having buckets everywhere? The lifts are out of action, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the first thing. That's the feedback. The second one is a positive comment in the sense that my wife said to me today while we're out walking that the women's group meeting that she went to yesterday, they had the communications advisor from Fulton Hogan along to talk about the plans for the coastal pathway and what's happening, and she said it was excellent and the presentation was fine. And that they were told that they could contact the communications advisor at any time if they had any concerns. And it was a great presentation, so I thought I'd just note that as a positive. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Daryl. And I think were there any CSRs for the building at all? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of. I think it was an issue that would appear to me was beyond a mere CSR with the lift out of order.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
I can't validate the concerns from the point of view of whether it was a one-off because of heavy rain, but it would appear to me the comments were that the lifts were out of action on frequent occasions.
Yeah. Cool.
There is a section in the report thing for facility staff, but with library staff there,
Yeah, sure.
there should be.
But I was asking past it.
Yeah, that's good to know.
That's from the-
Cool, thank
I'll
you.
have it left.
I do see your hand up, Michelle. I've just got other people as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, not ignoring you.
No worries.
Sunita.
A couple of things. Okay. Yep. Couple of things for me. First is that I presented the certificate of participation to Bob Shearing and Lynn Shearing at Rose Historic Chapel. So they have said thank you to everyone. So thank you, staff, Grace arranging that. That made them feel very happy. And they've invited board to attend a historic Heritage Week in October. So we're going to have Harp and some other local artists presenting. So that would be nice. Not so happy thing. I was supposed to express this last members exchange, but I think I was too angry with the matter, so I forgot. That Primer Square resident, and I personally as well want to really make this noted that we are disappointed on council's decision of not fining the freedom protesters or anti-mandate protesters, because all that what residents have gone through during that period just felt like has been undermined and not been, given any sort of compensatory ground on that. So that's one. And second thing is that I want to get an update on, I'm glad Chantal is here, update on the meeting with the YCD and police. Do we have any of this?
Oh, yeah, so it's sitting in place at the moment, it's sitting with the youth aid area, and they're just trying to determine who it is that will attend the meeting.
Okay, cool. All right, is, like, what does that mean, like, who will attend the meeting, like individual person or?
Yeah, as in which area will attend, so it'll either be, someone from youth aid from place, or it'll be someone from MP. And the multi-specific ethnic services, depending on what representative they can give.
All right, cool. Thank you. That's all.
Thanks, Anita. I'm just going to read this from Tim. He sent it through a little while ago. The Mount Pleasant Road works free the flooded property that he has discussed before worked well. However, there is a spring emerging on the CCC roadside land under these repairs and still causing flooding. It is not a roadworks or storm water management matter. It is a hillside spring emerging on CCC land. Who is responsible for managing that as it falls into private property? The problem is 70% fixed with the road and drain works, but who will fix the remaining 30%? And that was in regards to Wayne Rollinston, who came to the board earlier in the year. So I guess if we can just ask for the staff advice around the spring, that would be fantastic. That all good, Tim? Yeah, cool. Thank you. Okay. I've got Michelle, then Sarah. You're good.
So just on the CSR reports, because Grace, you mentioned that it's going to be with the next area report. I guess that what I'm interested in as well is what's the systematic, like when do we regularly get it? Is it with every area report or every second, or is it ad hoc?
No, I think it comes monthly with the area report, but I don't actually know. And I will figure it out. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Mark, do you know?
It comes out every month. Like the timing is a bit funny, but
generally
every month.
Yeah, I just haven't seen it for a while.
It's attached to the area report. The trouble is, the one that's
There's so
attached
many
to the area
attachments.
report is not the one that arrived today.
No.
Because the area report signed off. And I was thinking we might just change it round and put the new one on. Yeah. Yeah, timing's not always great because everybody's report's done at different times and they do their reporting once a month. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that being said, no, she's fine. She's good. You're good, Jackie. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, Yanni.
Sorry, I should have done this earlier. I just wanted to place on record my thank you to the council and community board staff for the organisation of the Community Service Awards. Yeah. It was actually a really lovely evening, and I was really heartened by the recipients and their nominators that just really couldn't say it